Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May the peace, love, and blessings of Allah be with you. Welcome to Ramadan Transformation. You've made it to day number 14. You are officially halfway through Ramadan. And today we're going to be talking about the concept of jihad. Now, just to clarify for everyone, the word jihad, regardless of what Fox News wants you to believe, the word jihad means struggle or effort. And really, the concept is it's the struggle or effort to do the right thing, even when it's the hardest thing in the world to do. And this is actually a daily spiritual experience for every believer, is to put effort and struggle into doing things that are essentially hard to do. So now I want to introduce, so I want to introduce you to a new way of looking at jihad that will potentially make your life a lot easier. Because here's the thing. So some of the things that you might do that you might consider to be your everyday jihad would be praying 5 times a day. Praying 5 times a day. Some people, that's really hard. You know, you got to remember to pray. You've got to interrupt your day. Got to go and do it. And, you know, so for some people, that's a jihad. For some people, fasting. I mean, you know, we're halfway through Ramadan right now. Spend 18 hours a day without food or water. For some people, that's a real struggle, you know, just to discipline themselves to do that. For some people, going to the gym, you know, and getting into good physical shape is a kind of jihad because you're putting a lot of effort into doing something that's good for you and that you know you ought to be doing. Eating your vegetables instead of eating chocolate is jihad, right? So all of those things, all of the times when you have to put your willpower or your effort into doing something that you know is in your own long-term best interest, every time you do that, really what you're doing is jihad. That's how the Quran talks about jihad. You know, struggle to come closer to Allah. That's what the Quran says, like put some effort into it. So here's the key concept that I want you to be okay with. Given that feelings come from thought, what does that tell us about putting effort into things? And does life really have to be so hard to do all of these? Does it really have to be such hard work to do these quintessentially good things? And what I want to open you up to the possibility of is this, something that I think you already know in your heart is true. Things that look like they're a real jihad to your lower self, like disciplining yourself to fast during Ramadan, like going to the masjid for Fajr, like eating vegetables and eating a healthy, strict diet instead of just eating whatever you want. Things that seem like they're a real struggle to your lower self are actually totally effortless to your higher self. And you've experienced this and you know it's true. You know, before Ramadan starts, you think it's going to be really hard and you don't know how you're going to be able to do it. And then it starts and you're like, that's all right. It's not that bad. You know, before you go to the gym, you're like, oh, I don't know. I don't really want to go. And then you go to the gym and then it's like the difference between when you're walking to the gym and you're walking out of the gym, right? When you're walking to the gym, you're like, or walking home thinking about whether you should go to the gym, you're like, oh, I don't know if I should, oh gosh, oh, I've got to do this, it's going to be such hard work. And then you go and you do the gym and then you walk away from the gym and you're like feeling all pumped up, like, yeah, I did it. Oh man, I could do this every day. All of a sudden, going to the gym seems effortless to you. Well, what changed? The only thing that changed was thought. You know, on your way to the gym, you were thinking it was going to be really hard. On your way out of the gym, you were proud of yourself. You're like, oh, wow, that was really easy. I could do that every day. So I want to let you into the, you know, just open you up to this new world where things that look like they're a real struggle to everyone else could look really effortless to you because you're looking at them from a higher perspective. And that's why I have this really weird concept that I live by called effortless jihad, where you're doing things that really look like they're very hard work to everyone else, but because you're operating from your higher self, they're actually kind of effortless to you. How do you do that? Well, first I want to make a distinction. And the distinction is you're not putting in less physical effort. The physical effort and the work you're doing is the same. The difference is where you're coming from as you put in that physical effort. It's not the things you're doing in the world aren't changing, but your place where you're coming from is different. So let's use going to the gym as a simple example. When you go to the gym, lifting the weight requires physical effort. And that's going to be the same regardless of anything. You know, the physical effort you put in, the moving your muscle, you know, to lift the weight, that's physical jihad, right? That's the effort you're putting in. But there's another kind of jihad that makes that physical jihad way easier. There's another kind of jihad that happens in here. It's called jihad an-nafs, the jihad of the ego that happens in here. That if you do that, it makes that physical jihad infinitely easier. Jihad an-nafs is your highest leverage point because it happens in here, and when you do it, it makes all of the jihad that you're doing in the physical world infinitely easier. And that is, that's the leverage point. So what is the jihad an-nafs? The jihad an-nafs is just what we were talking about. It's not that lifting the weight isn't really the hard bit of getting in shape. The hard bit of getting in shape isn't lifting the weight. The hard bit of getting in shape is getting yourself to go to the gym every day. And why is that so hard? Because we psych ourselves out of it. Because we imagine in our imagination, we're like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym. It's going to be such hard work. Oh, no. All of that negative self-defeating thought is the thing, that nafs thought, right? Thinking that something outside of us is going to cause our feelings, thinking that going to the gym is going to make us feel bad or going to the gym is going to make us feel good. That nafs thought is how we psych ourselves out of going to the gym. So your highest leverage point isn't that makes the jihad, the way you can make jihad effortless in the physical world is by first doing the jihad that needs to happen in here. And the way you do jihad in here is by recognizing and letting go of nafs thought. And the way that you let go of nafs thought is by recognizing that going to the gym, your imagination of how you imagine going to the gym will be, it's got nothing to do with how your experience of being in the gym actually will be. You could go to the gym and have a really fun session because it just so happens in the moment, you have some good, fun, enlightened thought. Like, oh, you know, you're pretending you're Rocky or whatever, and the gym goes great. Sometimes before you go to the gym, you think it's going to be a terrible experience, and then you get to the gym and it's a really fun session. Sometimes before you go to the gym, you think it's going to be a really fun session, and then you get to the gym and you're having a bit of a down day, right? What happens in here and what happens in the real world actually have nothing to do with each other. So you can give yourself a break. And you can let go of all of that nafs thought. You know, feeling comes from thought, right? And you don't really control the thoughts and feelings that you have. They come and go like the weather. So waiting until you have a happy thought before going to the gym would be kind of like waiting for the sun to go out before going to work. Like, I'm not going to go to work until the sun comes out. I'm not going to go to the gym unless I feel like going to the gym. Well, that's probably a really bad strategy if you want to get in shape. In the same way, there are a lot of things that Allah tells us to do that are in our benefit. They're actually pretty hard to do, right? Praying 5 times a day is a pretty hard thing to do. Fasting during the month of Ramadan is a pretty hard thing to do. But if you do the jihad an-nafs in here, if you realize that it's not the praying or the fasting that's hard, it's getting yourself to pray or fast that's hard. And it doesn't have to be hard because you can just let go of all those thoughts and accept that feeling comes from thought and not wait. Don't wait to feel like praying before you pray. That's a bad strategy because because feeling comes from thought and it changes like the wind. It changes like the weather. So don't wait for the weather to change before you go to work. In the same way, if you want your jihad to be effortless, the way you can make that happen is by letting go of all of the superstitious thinking you've got around, letting go of all of the insecure thoughts you have around going to the gym or doing whatever it is that requires the effort. Jihad, physical jihad is the same amount of effort for everyone, but psychologically it can be effortless. And that's what I call jihad an-nafs, is what I call the effortless jihad, because it makes all of the jihad you do in the physical world effortless.